So, you are back on the screen after a long time.
Yeah.
So, what was that one thing about Happy Bhag Jayegi that made you come on board for the film? And why did you take so long?
Well, it was a great script. It was Anand calling me up and telling me I have something for you. The director has written it for you in mind, with you in mind. So I was like, okay, let me see what he's envisioned. And Modesto is a very talented writer, And one of the first things, there are many things, gone over and over again, but I think for the sake of this moment, I would say that the writing particularly got me charged up, and I think that's what hits you most when you watch the movie.
There was this report I was reading that the producer of the film, Anand Adda, he says that you're a very talented actor, but
lazy. He said that to me all through Ranjana. Tu bahut lazy hai. This is not recording, by the way.
I personally would love to see you on screen more often.
I pressed it just now.
I will get.
Sorry, one second. Yeah. Okay. So
I personally would love to see you on screen more often.
We all.
Socha na tha you would have seen it over and over again.
Oh wow.
Still, it comes from television. I'm like all, happy. So why is it you are lazy?
And why? Why are you lazy?
Yeah, exactly. Why are you lazy?
I guess I am, I suppose, lazy on one level, but I think what Anand was talking about is very different from making more films. I don't think I'm lazy when it comes to making movies. He was possibly talking about. I don't know. I think from his perspective, perhaps I suppose he wants me to work a lot more, and I can see that being translated as laziness. But I don't mind it being mistaken as laziness, but it's actually a little bit of fear that I disguise as laziness. It's I'm just very picky. It has to be the right kind of project. In the past, I wasn't so bothered by the kind of people that backed it up. But then when I burnt my fingers when those films weren't marketed or distributed well and they didn't do well, when people didn't know they were playing, that fear of it being not well exploited, not well presented, made me hold back even more. I anyways was fearful of not being able to go the direction I want to go, take the route I want to take, which is not in-your-face formula and not unrelatable art house. It had to be somewhere in the middle. Those are hard to come by. And I felt that if I didn't do enough of those, I would fall neither here nor there. Neither am I doing something mainstream enough, and neither am I doing something art house enough. I'm just somewhere floating around. So now I think I'm more comfortable because people are responding after so many years of so many films being put out there. Now he would probably not say I'm lazy anymore. I think.
Do you feel this is the right time for you to, when you started this type of film, the blending of both this thing, it was little early, and now when we see so many actors for doing this, and they all say that we are inspired by ABHAY and we want to do something films like that. So do you feel this is the right time for?
I think it's difficult to say yes or no to that. When I was doing the films I was doing, and it's not that long ago, it was 2007, 8, 9, and there wasn't so many directors who had come in from the outside to make films. I think it was the new directors I worked with because they had the sort of vision to go away from the mold, and that's what I found most attractive about those people and the projects. The studios were just setting up, so there was different niches to be fulfilled. In some ways it was easier, and in some ways it was difficult. Also because no one was really doing that then. NFDC had come and gone, the government already pulled away support, that didn't, that eventually died, and then we had a lull of experimentation till 2006, 7, 8 came along, with the kind of people I worked with. I think what happened is as the years have gone by, today I think it's more difficult because as capitalism takes a deeper and deeper root in our society, because we're relatively new from socialism gone to capitalism. It's getting more and more difficult to make movies that cannot be put into a box with a number attached to it. You see, which is something that was slightly easier back when I started. But at the same time, when I was making those films, nobody had made them, so there was a lot of insecurity. They didn't know where this is going to go, which is why they weren't distributed and released very well. Which is why a lot of there was no actors really in the mainstream taking a chance on those films. But now that those films have come and gone, while there's still not a number we can put to them, actors want to make them. Actors then bring in the producers. Actors then bring in the sort of curiosity into those movies whenever they choose to experiment in between the mainstream films. So that's become easier. You see what I'm trying to say?
Yeah,
I mean, this is just the tip of the iceberg. Just like this, there's pros and cons to both times.
What's your take on the multiplex? When, as you said that when you started those films, people
even the multiplex,
like,
was just
multiplex was
mushrooming.
new, and there's no reason for this movies also to run because all the intellectual crowd, the main city crowd was going. But now the same multiplexes are not supporting individual cinema or independent cinema because the prices are 400 rupees, 300 rupees, and a normal person might not go to see a small film for 300 rupees. They'll rather go and watch a Salman Khan film for 300.
Well, there has to be some support from the government, like what they did with NFTC. And we saw some great artists and some great work come out as a result of NFTC being propped up. Whether you go to France or Canada or England, they support the film industries. That is the only reason why they create the kind of work they create. I mean, in France, a certain percentage of the ticket sales goes back into the industry. You have subsidies, you make shooting accessible, easier. Australia does that, you can get 35% back on rebates. So that's what helps an industry grow. And so it's not just, you can't expect the multiplexes alone to take that on. We have the opposite approach to our industry. We are taxed more because the understanding is, there's a lot of money, it's all black money. I mean, that's again a symptom of the past. There may be black money, I'm sure, like there is in any industry, but there's nothing. Your Universal Studios and your Disneys and all are not going to come here if there's just black money. We didn't have industry status back in the day, so no one would legally invest in the industry. So obviously the money was black at the time, but we have none of those issues. Yet I guess people don't change that quickly. Change comes after a lot of effort. There has to be some kind of support which will lay the foundation for filmmakers or people from a variety of backgrounds with a variety of visions, individuality. And until that doesn't happen, you can't expect one entity alone to support it. Like I said, capitalism takes deeper root every year that goes by. Multiplex is going to want to run its business, and they're going to do what's right for its business. So suddenly the flavor of the month is offbeat cinema, you'll see them supporting offbeat films. But until that doesn't happen, they're not going to do that because they have bills to pay.
But do you think apart from the content, it is important to get the budget right in terms of filmmaking?
Of course it is.
Because we have...
It just depends from film to film. So like I said, for example, when Manorma, which was not a very high budget movie, it could have easily made its money for the budget that it was made, because that audience was there even then. But they spent nothing on marketing and they had terrible distribution. So of course the producer didn't measure up, he didn't do his job, and the film suffered as a result of. But it was made at a small budget because we knew this was not going to have a huge appeal. But for the budget it was made, there was enough people to make it a success. So you have to budget in marketing as well, right? In that case, and unfortunately we had nothing for marketing.
But do you think in Bollywood industry the producers are more hesitant to make the content-driven films with the big stars because they charge a bomb of money as their acting fees, and because of the limited appeal?
So at the end of the day, if you look at the international setup, an actor gets rebates on every time every time a film plays on TV, you get a certain amount of money back to you. And that is all of the, we don't get that.
Yeah.
Now if you're going to take away the rights of an actor, today my films play all the time. Do I get anything when they play again? No. And did I get paid anything while making those films? No, because they were experimental. Yeah. Are the people behind it making money today on it? Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's not fair to just put on the actors. Everybody has to be fair with each other. Everyone's thinking about themselves right now. Yeah. The actors are, yes, so are the producers. The producers are not innocent from any angle. Now, if you're going to tell me that I'm going to get a certain percentage of the profits of that film, and it's going to be fair, the books are going to be transparent, every time the film plays I get a certain amount, I will charge less. But I think actor backs himself or herself up with a lot of money because they know they'll never make a penny out of this, and it's going to be a product that constantly makes money for the ones who have invested in it. Yeah. But they're not going to. They have a one-time fee. So now let's milk it. And also they know, and producers themselves have said, like I said, there's a box to be fulfilled with a number, and that actor brings in that number. So why will the actor not charge? Because the actor knows you're hiring him because you already know you're safe on an opening. Without me, you're not going to get that opening. The actor's thinking that. So why should I not charge you? It's not like you're going out there and investing in an actor and an idea and putting yourself out there. Then obviously you'll get actors for next to free,
Yeah.
They won't even probably bichare charge a percentage of the reruns, which they rightly deserve, even if they're being launched, But the producers don't do that, unfortunately. So there's no black and white answer here. It's a collective effort, a collective decision. People need to think for the industry, not for themselves. And this is not just the film industry. You talk about any industry regarding money, people think about themselves before anything else. How many of us invest in the market in companies that are destroying the environment for us to make money now? And we're going to leave our children with a planet that's going to kill them sooner rather than later because of the exploitation. So we don't think about anything other than ourselves before we think before our actions,
Abhay, you play a Pakistani character in the film. So, as we know, cross-border mannerisms are very different. The way they
Really? How do you know that?
No, I mean, I spoke to Momal. I took her interview. So her mannerisms were very different from what we see in actresses in India. So how did you tap onto that mannerisms?
Honestly, look. One of the obvious differences is they speak Urdu.
Yeah.
We speak Hindi. And really, how different are they? If you're speaking chaste Hindi and chaste Urdu, they are poles apart. But on a generic level, the two are very similar. That's why the language was made in India, because I think it was Akbar, right? Who wanted to unite the Hindus and Muslims of a common language. Blah, blah, blah. Culturally, we've been the same for a few thousand years. We've been two different countries for 69 years. That's not going anywhere. And what you say about certain mannerisms and whatnot is the way you're brought up. I mean, I know people, maybe not from this city, but from other cities, who sound very similar to people from cities in Pakistan. I forget other cities, even this city, for example. I've met Pakistanis who are very urban. I've met Pakistanis who are very much like the interiors of our country. Your class, your caste, your environment, your conditioning, it's the same, really. They have class distinctions like we have class distinctions. They have caste distinctions like we have caste distinctions. They have a religion that they're ready to die and fight for, just like we have people who have religions that they're ready to fight and die for. So really, where is the difference? Other than the language, which is also not very different. We're not of a different color. We're hospitable people, they're hospitable people. We can be fundamentalist, they can be fundamentalist. Really, there is no difference. I have to then look at the character and see what's his background. After, speaking Urdu, I have to also see what's similar and what's not between us. We're both born and raised in a city. We're both educated abroad. Okay, there you go, that's similar. But he's very submissive to his father, he does what he's told. I am not at all, I'm extremely rebellious. I do what I want to do. I'm not about to sacrifice the kind of movies I want to make. He's sacrificed a career he wanted to be a part of. So those differences start to happen, and those are the differences that manifest eventually.
The promo has received phenomenal response, and there were some comments which I remember people were happy to see you in this space, after Zindagi. And so you feel that audience wants you to do such type of entertaining cinema or something?
Basically light-hearted roles or something like that.
Also, what do you prefer doing?
I think if I did a film that brought back images of Devdi, people would have said, great to have him back doing what he does, that we love him to do. I think this film kind of brings back, to me at least, images, or a feeling rather, of Sochanatha. And it's been a while since I've done that. So I suppose one level that helps. Ranjana also, I suppose, superficially in the clothes. They're both quite traditionally dressed. So there are certain images you can relate to, and I think that's what people are looking at and saying, this is the mold we like him in. But that is not to say, I believe if I did something like Koi Lucky and Devdi, which are also very different from each other, we did something of that nature, people would like that because those films are also accepted. Yeah, so I just think that the conversation starts after you give them something. Until you don't give them something, then the conversation is whatever it is. So and what's my preference? I like dark comedies, more than anything else. I slightly am attracted to drama more than I am to comedy. I enjoy doing comedies, but yeah, I am attracted to drama and dark humor.
The zombie film
the
still
dark
happening?
comedy genre has not been explored in
Oh, it's
India.
not.
Because there has
Hardly.
been just one dark comedy, if I remember, even that was not well. That was Imran Hashmi with someone who
Ganchakkar.
Ganjakkar. That was in the dark space, but even
I suppose so. I mean, like in my career, I look at Ek Chalis as a dark comedy.
even Ikchalis, yeah.
But yeah, it's not. We haven't gone the distance that Stanley Kubrick went, or Coen Brothers still go, or Pedro Almodovar, Yeah, we have not been able to raise the bar that much. We haven't.
How
Yeah.
do you view the trend of box office numbers?
That's all I've been speaking about all this while. What have you been listening to?
No, as an actor,
Oh, trend.
Yeah.
I think the trend of the media to jump on numbers and exploit them and put them on the front page and basically make it look like that's the best thing that could ever happen is sad, because they're also just playing into the nouveau riche. They're also just playing into the capitalist diktat that money is a sign of success. You do not see the media making the same amount of a noise and a big deal of a film that may not successfully be successful at the box office, but that broke certain molds, that broke new ground. They'll always have slightly less coverage, or basically no coverage, especially there's no star behind it, in a star-driven vehicle or a vehicle that suddenly made 100 crores. So how do I view it? I view it as sad that collectively as a people, our generation is probably going to be enamored with money for a long time. Our kids and their kids growing up in money will probably start to value something other than money. And it's collective. It's not just the media's fault. Today you can buy media, you can call it a success even if it's not. Your 100 crore film might have made a 2 crore profit, but the media is not going to report that. The 10 crore film made a 30 crore profit and they're just not going to give the same footage, even though it's a bigger hit than the 100 crore film. It's superficial. It's the blame is passed back and forth. Sir, आप तो स्टार ही कहते हैं, आप तो हमें दे देते नंबर, आप and हमको हम are doing your bidding. अरे, who's told you? You're a journalist. You can choose not to do that. Don't go under pressure. Don't cave in. Talk about success in terms of margins as opposed to just numbers.
Yeah.
And then we'll have that change. But that has to happen collectively and consciously, individually. It's like saying, I can throw this garbage out the window. I mean, the city is so dirty, what difference does it make? But you know that if you choose just in your own space, it makes no difference that you didn't throw that out. You chose to go to a dustbin and throw it. But, when you and you and you and you and you and you and me and all of us start to do that, then you start to see that change. It's like that with everything. You will start to see the industry respond to you when you make that change. They'll be like, when did this happen? And it's easier I don't know if it really is, but it's easier to at least start talking about margins over just blatant numbers and taking away lies than it is to cleaning up a city. That takes a lot more than at least just getting your facts right. It's how you present the facts. That the film made 100 crores is a fact. That it's a hit, well, is it?
On the budget, yeah.
So I think, again, individual effort.
But again, do you think it is because of lack of transparency, because the real budget is never out in open? They just, from the producers end, it is just that the numbers have been out and
Amir Khan said that we should start a rent tax system, and then only you can get the exact numbers of how many footfalls are there.
And more than the numbers, do you think it is because one doesn't know the budget? If someone says 100 crore, there is a perception that it is a hit, but no one actually knows what the real budget is, because
I think the budgets are pretty out now, no? People know.
At least what I see.
I don't know, so for example, the work that I've done, the budgets are pretty clear.
Yeah.
They aren't really high budgeted movies, and they're pretty transparent. I guess that comes into play when the films are much bigger. That there isn't a clarity on the numbers. I suppose there might be. I don't know. I don't know the facts of what you're saying. I believe that the numbers are out for you to know, and then you can tell the margins. And even if you don't really know, a star-driven vehicles cost a lot.
Yeah.
It has. And I read it in the media sometimes. But ये film तो 80 crore की बनी थी, और बनी है. So I see the criticism coming sometimes when a star-driven vehicle is represented by a star who's sat in the back foot. They jump on it very quickly and start throwing numbers. But it was made for so much. I read that all the time. And what you're saying is probably true that there's no transparency, but people throw a number out there anyways. Yeah. Where do they get the number
people
from?
Look at that, because there are so many big films where we are given bad reviews to that also, but people feel, अच्छा 200 crore कमा रही मतलब अच्छी होगी, and then they still go and see it just for the star.
But you also reported like 200 crore like a big number.
We gave a bad review.
The reviews one thing. Now who reads reviews necessarily to go watch a film? Is someone going to read a review of a Salman Khan film before deciding to go watch it? No. But if Salman Khan, you're going to watch it regardless of what the review is. So how is that compared to getting your numbers right and giving a number which may be a big number, but the margins are small, a front page with huge letters, and not giving the exact facts? You're giving half truths. If you're not telling a lie, you're telling the truth, but it's half truth. Yeah. And you're being manipulated and used, and you are happily playing into that manipulation for whatever reason. Either it's a supplement and it's a paid for thing, and there's no say in that. Or I don't know, relationships. You tell me. I mean, I'm giving you my filmy side of the story. You give me the journalistic side of it, no? Because we work hand in hand at the end of the day, right?
In this scenario, there was this time when small films used to be made. Let's say Maine Pyar Kiya, which was a non-star cast film, which was released, and then later on it became a blockbuster. But today, a small film is just getting maybe 500 screens or 1,000 screens maximum, whereas these movies get 4,000, 5,000. Automatically, they are going to get more money. You can't
expect a small film to have the same number of screens as a big film. Yeah. There's no need for that. Like I said, Manorama, for example, was made for a certain budget. It didn't need to make 100 crores or a 50 crores in for that matter. A certain small amount of money would have given it that profit. So now you give it those. Also, it's the kind of movie that not everybody's going to go watch. But if I'm making, let's say, a film for 3 crores, I want to make 5 crores to break even. Can 5 crores? Is there an audience to make 5 crores out of this kind of film? Yes, there is. How many screens do I need to make that profit? Now, if I go, no, I want to make 50 crores out of this, then I'm at a loss. No, I'm not going to make 50 crores out of it. But yeah, to say that, small films don't make that money but big films do, is also stupid, because small films get a small release. They'll never make that money. It's just mathematics. If you have 10 stalls, it's going to make X amount of money. If you have 500 stalls, that's going to make an X amount of money. A 10 stall is never going to match the money 500 stalls is going to make. But doesn't mean that you need to have 500 stalls for that movie. Maybe 10 stalls is right for that film. But you can't say that, it's not a success compared to this film. No, like I said, the margins might be far greater. This might make 30 crores, this might make 500 crores, but this 30 crores was a 28 crore profit, this 500 crores was a 10 crore profit. Who's more successful? But you're going to talk about the 500 crores, now you're going to give a half truth, 500 crores. Film's a success. It is, it made its money, it's a success now, because success can be measured however you want to, no? Success could be for you, breaking even could be success for you. Yeah, mere paise ban gaye.
I guess people in this room are not from that side of the journalism.
I don't know, I'm not saying you guys do it.
Yeah,
I'm calling myself filmy, I'm calling all journalists.
Yeah.
Because we are talking about in generic terms right now, in wide terms right now. And I think we're all acknowledging what's going on.
Yeah.
All of us in our individual spaces, like what I do in my individual space, perhaps you all are doing the same thing in your individual space. You might be making the Devdi article for all I know, type of article. You know what I mean? But you have to keep doing that. You have to keep pushing that. You can't for one moment think, what's the point? Let's just...
we support and we want you to do more films.
Yeah.
Please do.
I will.
That's the request that please keep doing.
I want to. I don't want to.
Have you signed anything after this? Do we?
I've read one I loved.
More of the mushy films also.
More mushy, that's what you want?
Could we see you doing a sequel to Zindagi Na Milegi?
Again, Zoya question. I get asked.
When is the zombie film? Is that zombie film?
Zombie not happening, yeah.
What is the next film?
There's one that I've liked, but I can't talk about it because that has to be announced by the producer. Yeah? Thank you.
All the best.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, guys.